All right, guys, I'm AOA, and this is AOA The Shed. Today we got Max Wells.
Yo.
Shit, take us back, man.
Man, bro, let me, I guess I could just start. So, like, I was born in Michigan, in, like, a really small city that pretty much all my family is from. And then when I was, like, 7, I moved here to Fort Wayne, and just my dad had got a job, like, I think I was in about to go into second grade. And yeah, it was a pretty like typical suburban upbringing, you know, like I was from the part of town where it was kind of like still the country, like it was like the outskirts of Fort Wayne, right? So It was like still kind of the country like developing into neighborhoods and subdivisions and stuff like that. And my parents were together for most of like the beginning of my life. They ended up splitting up when I was in, I think, 8th grade, maybe like the end of my 8th grade year, either the end of my 8th grade or my 7th grade year. And that was interesting because I remember, like, you know, that's like when I say most of my life, you know, that really wasn't, if you think about it, you know, like that's pretty early on.
Yeah.
And I remember I didn't really know much even about that. Like I never thought about, oh, I have 2 parents that live in my house. You know, I had friends or even family members that only maybe had 1 parent in their house or whatever it may have been. But I didn't really think about it as a thing. So as I got older, my parents had like a pretty good like friendship, like relationship. It wasn't necessarily like it was like some super toxic situation or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, that was, you know, they did their best to kind of keep things like cordial, and you know, so it didn't seem like it was like a stress if I was going to go stay with my dad or if we were going to go here, you know. And I have 2 brothers. I'm the oldest. I got one that's about a little less than 2 years younger than me, and then I have one that's like 7 years younger than me. So he actually plays college basketball right now in Michigan, in Albion, at Albion College. And so yeah, I mean, I got into music kind of shortly after that, you know, like it wasn't necessarily like I was trying to become like an artist, but I was definitely starting to put these like little poems and writings that I had, like I was starting to like build rhythms around them and stuff, kind of just experimenting with like getting my thoughts out, you know, kind of by writing them. And then, yeah, I mean, I kind of just, I'm trying to think, like at the very beginning, my mom had like a computer. She had just got a new computer, and I learned how to use GarageBand and stuff like that. So I would, you know, take those things that I would build rhythms from, right, and those little poems and stuff, and just record them, like sometimes on like on GarageBand, sometimes on like the video camera, just literally just to do it. And that's kind of what got me, you know, ended up getting me started.
How old were you at this time?
Man, that was either really early high school or like the end of middle school, you know, so I guess like 14 to 15, you know, definitely no older than that. And like I said, it wasn't serious. Like I would just kind of post stuff on Facebook, and I think like even MySpace too. Like I had posted stuff on MySpace, and it was just like pretty much the equivalent to like what a voice memo recording would be, you know, if like I played the beat out loud on a speaker and then just kind of was like rapping into my phone. Like it was like the same thing. And yeah, that was just kind of something I would do just to kind of get out of my head. You know, I was playing basketball a lot too. Like that was.
Were you outgoing a lot?
Yeah, so I pretty much grew up like an athlete. Now I didn't. It's like I always wanted to be like super good at basketball, but it was so weird, bro. Like I just like knew that I wasn't the coldest. You know, like I knew that I was kind of nice and I could shoot and I could like, I was like a decent shooting guard, but I also knew that I wasn't like as invested as I probably needed to be to take it to that next level, you know. Like I think I made the team in middle school and then didn't really make it in high school. Like I would always go out for it. I was still playing. I was always doing intramural stuff like that, but I didn't really like actually play, you know. So that's around that time, like I said, I played in middle school. So once I got to high school, that's when I kind of started playing a little bit less, because at that point I was like, all right, I'm not really trying to play college basketball. Like I love basketball because my dad was a college athlete too. So that was like
Motivation.
the motivation, yeah, behind like especially being a kid, and that's the thing too. It was nice growing up having like a structure like that, like knowing that every like basketball season I'm playing, every baseball season I'm playing. I think like I played in like pretty much every baseball season and basketball season until like it would have been 8th grade probably, you know. So it was like pretty busy throughout because I think those are the 2 seasons that go back to back of each other, right? Baseball and basketball. No, I guess there's fall in between. But sometimes I would do like flag football too, you know. So it was like we were always doing something. But yeah, then music kind of just overtook things a little bit, you know. My brother would be like still in the gym because like my younger brothers are both really, really good at basketball. So, you know, he would be in the gym or something, or he would have like AAU, you know, and be traveling. And then I would just be at home making music and learning more about GarageBand, learning how to use my voice, learning how to write a song and stuff like that, you know. And it just really consumed me a lot. And then, I did that quite a bit. I started going to studios here and there, just little ones in town, you know. When I was in high school, my parents would give me like $30 to go spend 2 hours at like so-and-so's house, or like, you know, it was like, you know, this was probably about 2011, 2012, you know.
Okay.
So, you know, some of like the upperclassmen or people who had just graduated and stuff were starting to get studios in their basements and stuff like that. So yeah, I was starting to take things a little bit more serious, starting to kind of, I was gonna say gain a fan base, but it wasn't really that. As back then, it more was like I was starting to get the attention of people, you know, like people weren't necessarily going out of their way to, you know, to go download my mixtape or like cheer me on to like do a show or something. Like it wasn't stuff like that, but it was like people were at least starting to be like, oh, that kid is like making music and sometimes it's cool. And there was like a couple songs I had that I remember going kind of like locally viral, you know, like on YouTube and stuff. But again, it was just because it was like, you know, oh, someone from here made a song and it's like not super terrible, you know. And yeah, it was like that for a while, bro. And just kept going through high school. Like I wasn't the best at school. Like I didn't mind going to school. I definitely tried harder than I feel like it seemed like I did, but I was not really good academically. It's like I loved learning all the new stuff. I have really bad ADD, so it was hard for me to comprehend stuff and then do the homework in a certain way that they wanted me to do it. You know, it's just my mind didn't like work the same way. I'm like a really hands-on learner and stuff like that. So it's like I went to a school that had some of the best education like in the state, but I didn't really feel like it worked for me, you know, because it's like, and I mean that's kind of as expected when it comes to public schools. There's kind of like one way to go, which is understandable, you know. So like I said, I kind of just dove even farther into music, you know, because it was like I ended up going to college, just community college, for a year, and that was at that point I knew I had wanted to make music. Like once I graduated, I at that point it kind of had started to turn into like a fan base type of thing where I had done a couple shows and people actually went, you know, and I had like made some merch. People actually bought them, you know.
This is in Fort Wayne?
Yeah, this was in Fort Wayne. So it was like, this was shortly after graduating, you know. So pretty much that summer, honestly, because it's like I had some friends. What really helped was I had friends that were going to Indiana Tech for like lacrosse and stuff. So they had already like moved into a place because right after, you know, they had like upper class, like, you know how like, you know, I forget when lacrosse season is, but pretty much they moved in like to the house that they were going to be living in for the school year, like right after graduating, you know, because summer started. So it's like, okay, they don't, even though it was still in town in Fort Wayne, of course they're going to college. Like they wanted to start doing what college kids do, you know. Right. So they moved in immediately and we threw some parties and then I performed at them. So that was like a whole thing where, again, I had kind of transitioned a little bit from being like, okay, yeah, he's still just the guy at our high school that was making music and stuff, but now there were other people getting involved that were like, oh wait, so is this someone from here and stuff like that. So like I said, this was when I was like going to college too. I was about to, you know, go for a year, or I was going to go in general, but I ended up going, still doing the music, and then not doing very well in college. Like it wasn't quite the same as high school because college was definitely like the stuff that I was doing was harder. It was just like business management type of stuff. So it was just like a decent amount of like math, even though it wasn't super hard math. It didn't stick with me, you know. So I didn't end up doing as well as I could have in college. So at that year, they pretty much were like, "Hey, if you want to," because I was there on I was there with a grant. I had a grant to go, which is the whole reason why I like was able to do it because my parents couldn't like afford to go. And I should add to at this point, like my dad had passed away right before my senior year of high school. Oh. So that's like a huge part that I left out, you know, of that. Yeah, bro, I appreciate you. Like at that point, that's why I was like, I was making the music in high school, right? Like I said, I hadn't transitioned. When my dad passed away, it was literally like 2 weeks before my senior year of high school. So that made like I didn't even know what the fuck. Like I was like, all right, now I didn't like care about anything. Yeah, I can't believe I left that part out because that kind of builds the whole story of like why I really decided like, all right, I'm gonna like try to really make music because what the hell else am I about to do? Like I hadn't like really planned. Like I had talked to, you know, me and him were close. Like it wasn't like there were things like he was battling like addiction. Like it was alcoholism that eventually led him to passing away, and like he had a heart attack. But it was like we were still close though, you know. So it's like when it would come to conversations with your parents about like college and stuff, like I wasn't really having them quite yet because like I said, I wasn't super good at high school. So I'm saying all this to get to the point of like how music